that just kind of happens with book movies. Like, the adaptation of Watchmen, the movie version.
Also Alan Moore.
Also an Alan Moore comic.
Comic is great.
I love the comic, and the movie's all right, but like there's too much missing there.
Yeah.
And there's the thing about that is like that movie, even more than that book, that story, even more than this one, is kind of about like the way what's happening affects the public. And in a movie, you really just have time to focus on the heroes.
Yeah.
And
well, with Watchmen, it is also a much bigger book, I believe.
Yeah. Well, it is a much bigger book. There's a lot more stuff to it.
Yeah. And
it's you can't really just focus on the heroes with Watchmen because most of the story happens away from them. Most of the story happens in their wake.
Yeah.
And that kind of happens in this movie. There's not enough of the extraneous stuff because we want to focus on...
Hugo Weaving in his beautiful voice.
We want to focus on V, and we want to focus on what V does to Evie, because what V is doing to Evie is kind of a representation of what V is doing to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
V is just focusing more on Evie. So the movie naturally would focus more on Evie.
Yeah.
And I think this movie kind of hides the fact that it's cutting stuff out better than a lot of things do. We've touched on this quite a bit, but what did you think of Hugo Weaving?
Oh my lord. Let's be honest. He steals this show.
Yeah.
He fucking takes this movie and just becomes the best part of it, and basically the only part of it.
Yeah.
Like, Natalie Portman, she does good. She does better than she did in Star Wars.
Oh my god.
But you really have no time to notice her whenever V comes onto the screen.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he does, he just takes it. And the first scene that we really have him in his monologue of V, as I like to call it, just, like, it sets up for, oh my god, this character, this is it. This is the movie.
Yeah, he's one of the strongest characters in film, and I think in literature. Like, he's really, really strong.
Yeah. Like you said, like, we don't even see his face, but we didn't need to. Hugo Weaving's performance in, like, of course, like, his original mannerisms during the filming, but then his voiceover later on, because the mask kind of fucks with microphones, was just so good.
Yeah.
It was both all at the same time menacing, inspiring, captivating, and terrifying.
Yes.
Because he shows up, kills these two cops, but I think are cops, because they had like the badges and whatnot, and they were about to rape Natalie Portman.
So
and then he shows up.
Cops.
Yeah. So he shows up, kills them, and of course he's got the mask, he's got the bloody knives, and we're like, she gotta die. And then he goes off on the speech, and, like, basically then kidnaps her later on.
My favorite thing that tells me who he is as a character, though, when she asks him, "Who are you?" and he says, "Who is but the subject of what, and what I am is a man in a mask." Well, I can see that. Of course you can. But I'm not calling into question your powers of observation. I am simply pointing out the paradox in asking a masked man who he is. And at that moment, you're just like, oh my god, he's gonna be fun. He's gonna be fun.
You're fun. I like you.
But at the same time, you're terrified of him. When he does that VTV thing, and like tells the world like what the world really is. And
that's
like,
always scary.
Yeah. Well, he tells the world what the world really is, and then he says, "Who's to blame? Well, if you're looking for someone to blame, you need only look into a mirror." And at that point, you're just like, "Wait a second, is he the bad guy or the good guy?" Because like you don't know the world yet. You don't know much about what's happening, so you're just like, who is this guy? And it keeps you...
Because he acts like a terrorist.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning, he is a terrorist.
Yeah.
Because the first time that we see him, he shows up, kills the 2 cops, takes Evie to the top of a building, and shows her like one of the best explosions ever in cinema.
Yeah. To the theme of classical music.
Yes.
Which is beautiful, by the way.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
What is that song called?
I don't know. They say it in the movie.
I need to find out.
I can't remember.
Because it's such a great song and I love it. And like he
He
blows up public property just because.
Yeah. To send a message.
To send the message, but also because he likes explosions.
Percussion instruments are my speciality, but I intend to call upon the whole orchestra for this particular performance.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the ending explosion is just spectacular.
Yeah.
To the same song.
Yeah.
And like to the beat of it with the explosions, which is amazing.
It's a really good movie. What'd you think of the writing? And I know we've touched on this a little bit too.
Alan Moore, that is all.
Yeah. Alan Moore is one of the greatest comic book writers of all time.
I feel like Alan Moore can do no wrong in a writing position.
Yeah.
Basically.
And but what's great about this movie is like Alan Moore comics don't always make good movies. Like people sometimes just don't know how to adapt them, and I feel like the Wachowskis knew how to adapt this on a level that not a lot of other people did, because like they pick a subject to focus on, because there are other subjects in the book to focus on, but they focus on the homosexuality thing in a big spot. Like there's a key plot point where they focus on the homosexuality thing.
2 key plot points.
Yeah, there's a couple, and I feel like because like they,
and especially in 2006 when this movie came out,
especially then, but like they kind of, I feel like they kind of feel that on a deep level, right? Just because of who they are. And I feel like because they focused on a segment that really spoke to them, they were able to bring forth something even deeper on an emotional level than anybody else could have.
Yeah.
And it's really just amazing the way they adapted it, because like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, no. From Hell, meh. Watchmen, all right. I'm not a big fan of Zack Snyder. I'm not a big fan of Zack Snyder as a director.
I am Jesus.
That's a Man of Steel thing.
That's also Zack Snyder.
Yeah, well, I know that's Zack Snyder, but that you're doing a Man of Steel thing.
I am Jesus.
But yeah, the writing's really, really good. Movie on the whole. And also, how did it feel to have the opportunity to see it for the first time in a theater?
Yeah. Well, movie on the whole, I think is fantastic, because it's a movie that, like, there are only a couple of like fast-paced scenes.
Yeah.
And like the rest of it is just kind of a huge tension build-up in scenes that kind of put you on edge that not a lot of movies recently have gotten me on.
Yeah.
The like final showdown for like battle-wise for V, like he walks up to them and there's like 8 people with guns, and they're having this conversation, and like the tension just continues to rise.
Yeah.
And then all the guards like pull out their weapons because they're like, hey, we don't need you anymore. And so he's like, very well, if you're going to shoot me, then do it. But I'll have you know that
if I get back up, you'll all be dead before you've reloaded.
And like there's just this moment of they're joking, like they feel like he's joking, so they all unload their clips on him,
not knowing that he's covered in bulletproof armor.
Yeah. Well, we don't even know that.
We don't know that either.
They just like shoot him.
Yeah.
And he's like still standing, just like slowly rises back up and goes, "My turn." And it goes into Wachowski slow-mo as he slaughters every single person.
While they're reloading. And the way that part is shot makes me happy.
Yeah. So like,
and the blur
so that
on the
part
knives
wasn't like fast.
No.
But it made it still feel that tension because dude just got shot the fuck up.
Yeah.
How is he still standing? When is he gonna give out? So it still has that tension, even though it's in slow-mo and there's all these amazing like actual knife fighting and sword fighting thrown into it against these gun people.
Yeah.
So like to all you gun enthusiasts, guns are not the end all be all. Mythbusters can even attune to that too. All
you've got is your knives and your fancy karate gimmicks. We've got guns.
Yeah. So the overall movie is fantastic and I love it, and it definitely like makes you think about things.
Yeah.
But the experience as a whole, I honestly could not have asked for a better one because the Alamo showed it in their theater, like the main theater.
Yeah.
With a pretty decently packed house.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of people. All of them were fans of the movie. Only a couple people with Guy Fawkes masks. But
the announcer girl called an anonymous mask, and that made me kind of sad.
Yeah. It's
like, come on, it's a Guy Fawkes mask.
Yeah. But I mean, they've kind of taken it as their own trademark. But it made the movie feel like made me feel like I was going to see the movie as it was out the first time. Because the Alamo is a no talk, no text zone. It felt so I didn't have Davey like, oh, this part's awesome. In my ear, it made it feel like we were all watching this for the first time, and that is a very cool feeling for your first time seeing a immaculate piece of work.
Yeah. So that is what Drew thought of one of my favorite movies, V for Vendetta. And if you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe to the channel.
Check out our Spaceballs.
Check out our Spaceballs thoughts. Yes, we did one of Spaceballs where this guy showed me Spaceballs for the very first time, and that was a treat. Leave whatever you want down in the comments below. Tell us what you thought of this video. Tell us what you think we should do next. Tell us video ideas. Be mean. Be nice. Whatever. I don't care. I'll read them all. I'll cry.
Give us feedback so we can output your input, make our channel better. We want you to be as much a part of this as we are. And I guess we'll see you on the next
Thoughts?